This is KNR. Radio according to you.
26 after 9, let's get into the current affairs. Join us live on our Facebook page, Keith Ngesi Radio, as well as our YouTube channel, Keith Ngesi Radio, or download the app that is Keith Ngesi Radio on Google Play. Those of you with Androids can download it there. Those of you who are using the iOS, I don't want to name the device itself, unless, of course, Steve Jobs' people do want to throw a bag at us. But we can catch you on www.keithngesieradio.com, or you can stream us live on all the other platforms that make it available. Do tune in and continue to support Keith Ngesi Radio as we do radio according to you. The corruption scandal, MEP Eva Kaili is to remain in prison despite lawyers' pleas for the electronic bracelet. Eva Kaili, the Greek MEP at the center of a corruption scandal engulfing the European Parliament, was on Thursday ordered to remain in prison for at least 2 more months despite her lawyer's impassioned pleas for release under electronic surveillance. The embattled lawmaker has been in a pre-trial detention since the 9th of December when she was arrested by Belgian police after reportedly caught in the act. Her parliamentary immunity was lifted on the spot and she was later charged with participation in criminal organization, corruption and money laundering. Over 150,000 euros in cash were found in her Brussels residence. The decision to extend Kaili's detention was taken by a Belgian judge after hearing that Brussels on Thursday morning, during which her lawyers denounced her continued separation from her 23-month-old daughter and asked for her release with an electronic bracelet. Her defense team continues to insist that her innocence and her plans to appeal the decision. Kaili's domestic partner and father to her daughter, Francesco Giorgi, also remains in prison accused of the exact same crimes. Belgian MEC Mark Tarabella, former MEP Pier Antonio Panzeri, and NGO director Nicolia Filia Talamanca, who have been arrested and criminally charged, with the latter since released with no conditions attached. Provincial spokesperson Brigadier Selvi Muhlala said an incident occurred at a bridge over Skulpspruit Dam in the Amersfoort on Thursday morning. 5 people in a truck plucked from the flooded bridge in Nelspruit. The 5 workers, 1 female and 4 males, of whom 2 were inside the truck and 3 on the truck's rooftop, were rescued by police and other stakeholders, including emergency medical services, fire department, and other local community structures. Muhlala said the incident followed heavy rain, which had been battered parts of Mpumalanga, resulting in flooding in low-lying areas. She said despite warnings being issued to the motorists and pedestrians to avoid overflowing bridges and riverbanks, people were still attempting to cross the bridge. Shortly after rescuing the contracted workers, police helped a motorist from Rustenburg who got stuck in his bakkie and was pulled to safety. Community members are once again reminded that overflowing water applies pressure on contact points. The higher the speed, the more the pressure. Motorists just drive in without thinking of the terrain first so as to determine the pressure. Police warn motorists and pedestrians the best way to determine water pressure is not to take the risk and just stay away. Earlier this week, it was published by a guest editorial by Gun Free SA's director, Adele Kirsten. In response, we received a number of complaints by gun advocates alleging factual inaccuracies with the article. To set the record straight, we invited Kirsten to address the issues raised and provide sources of evidence to support her claims. The first claim, knives, not guns, are the leading murder weapon in South Africa. Fact: guns are the leading murder weapon in South Africa and have been since 2015-2016 when information on weapon use was first published. After not publishing this for a number of years, information on weapons used in murders was provided in 2015-16, 2017-18, 2017-19, and 2020 to 2021 in response to 2 parliamentary questions. It was also provided in the South African Police Service's presentation on annual crime statistics for the years. From the information, we can see that people were murdered with guns and knives from as early as 2015-2016. Here are the numbers. In the year of 2015 to 2016, the gun murders were 5,417, knives were 4,923, and sharp weapons were 2,005. The following year, 2016-2017, gun violence killed 5,857 people. Knives killed 4,811 people, while sharp weapons took the lives of 2,048 people. Fast forwarding to the latest statistics, which is 2020 and 2021, and listen to the difference in the numbers. Gun violence took 8,388 lives. Knives took 3,675 lives, while sharp weapons maintained their deadly accuracy at 2,097. Mzansi, we have to do better. As we say cheers to the Deputy President and thank you for your unwavering support, Ramaphosa bids David Mabuza a farewell. This is how Ramaphosa bid farewell to his second in command, who has communicated his intentions to resign as Deputy President of the country to make way for the ANC Deputy President, Paul Mashatile. He said, and I quote, "I wish to extend my appreciation to Deputy President David Dabete Mabuza, who has given me his unwavering support over the last 5 years," said Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa was responding to members of parliament who debated his State of the Nation's address in this week. In his concluding remarks, Ramaphosa decided to pay tribute to David Mabuza for what he had done for the country. "Not only has he given me support as a president, he has worked side by side with me these past 5 years and executed the task that I allocated to him." Tasks such as heading the South African National AIDS Council, SANAC, and extensive engagements with military veterans and traditional leaders. The job and the tasks has had an engaging with traditional leaders throughout the country on critical issues such as communal land and also their ability to execute their work as an important structure in the state. Mabuza said he will be sat in a joint sitting with the National Assembly and the Council of Provinces. National Council of Provinces has supported peace-building efforts in South Sudan and led processes around land reform, among other things. We bid farewell as he makes way for the incumbent, Paul Mashatile, the new Deputy President. 26 minutes now before 10 a.m. The family of AKA's fiancé, Anele Tembe, is urging South Africans to stop suggesting they were involved in the rapper's killing. In a statement, Tembe's father, Moses, says these allegations are untrue and lack substance. He says the family would never be involved in an act of this nature. Anele Tembe died in 2021 after falling from the 10th floor of a hotel in Cape Town. The National Prosecuting Authority took a decision not to prosecute in the case. Anele Tembe's father said the allegations seen on social media are cruel, libelous, and have caused emotional harm. AKA was murdered in Durban last week, Friday. Across the borders and the continent, King Charles was faced with anti-royal protesters waving a "Not My King" sign on his latest official engagement. The monarch, who's 74 years old, who dodged being hit with eggs that were hurled at him on a tour in York in December, was on a trip to Milton Keynes on Thursday to mark a Southeast England region's newly granted city status when he was confronted by members of the Republic group, which is campaigning for an elected head of state for Britain. It has around 20 protesters among hundreds of well-wishers as Charles arrived at the city's Church of Christ of the Cornerstone, and videos of photos of the arrival of King Charles waving directly in front of several placards bearing the "Not My King" message in red capital letters, while fans of the monarch cheered "God Save the King." Charles was meant to be joined in the Buckinghamshire visit by Queen Consort Camilla, who is 75 years old, but she was forced to pull out after she tested positive for COVID this week, in the second time she has been hit by the coronavirus. A 4-year-old girl wept on the lap of her grandmother as they showed pictures of her slain father, Sergeant Vusi Mabena, on Thursday. Mabena was remembered during a memorial service held by the South African Air Force at Swartkop Air Force Base in Centurion. The soldier, 37 years old, was described as a man who loved his 3 daughters and had a passion for his job. 2 of his daughters are 4 and the other is 8. Mabena was killed when an Oryx helicopter came under fire in the Democratic Republic of Congo last week during a peacekeeping mission. Mabena's royal family, including the Mabena chief, were in attendance to honor their son. They broke down in tears when images of the late soldier were displayed on the screen. His uncle, Prince Sipho Mabena, took to the podium to speak about how the death had shattered their family as they counted down the days to his return. I quote, "We were waiting for him to come back. We want to say that our hearts are sore. We are badly affected by this, and we lost a person who was a protector in his job and a home. At home, he loved his children. He did amazing things with them, like putting the babies on his back, and he had such a love for his children." His family pleaded with the Defense Force to help pay for the children's education, as one of Mabena's goals was to make sure that they had a good education, said his uncle. Musi Maimane lambasted the DA at Bosa launch. He said, "Give smaller parties the same chance you fought for." BOSA, which is Build One SA, or Bosa, leader Musi Maimane has rejected DA's suggestion that smaller political parties should be barred from political positions if they don't meet the threshold of vote from the electorate. DA leader John Steenhuisen has recently suggested that smaller political parties fragment the voter composition and should not receive electoral seats should they not meet the proposed threshold, saying coalitions give smaller parties disproportionate power. Speaking at the party's launch in Parkhurst in Johannesburg on Thursday, Maimane lambasted the DA for suggesting, saying that the very same party fought against a similar proposal in 1994, which would have seen the Blue Party not qualified to be in the National Assembly, and they received 1.7% of voter support at the time. The moment you introduce a threshold, you discard a citizen view by disqualifying parties that receive voter support. That effectively means you're marginalizing citizens' voice, which cannot be the case, he said. Maimane maintained the recent outbreak of collapsing coalitions was fortunate, or it's unfortunate, but better governance could make them work. The Section 194 inquiry into the suspended public protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane's fitness to hold office hit another snag. One of her witnesses, investigator Bianca Mvuyana, declined to give evidence as planned on Thursday. She also did not depose an affidavit or give a statement on the Section 194 committee. Former Deputy Public Protector Kevin Malunga will also not be giving oral evidence as planned this week. The committee was told that Mvuyana indicated that unwillingness to give evidence on the inquiry. Rodney Mataboge is coming to give evidence on Tuesday as a witness called by the committee on the back of Ms. Mvuyana, indicating that she is not prepared to give evidence if the chief investigator to whom she reports is not giving evidence. And that's a fair comment because there's a chain of command within the office of the public protector. From live location check-ins to videos with geotags, AKA documented all the places he visited on Friday. The day he died in an attempt to promote local businesses in Durban. This is what AKA's friend Philani Kweyama shared. Forbes was gunned down outside a popular restaurant in Durban on Friday evening. As the investigation of AKA's assassination continues, many on social media have been questioning who ordered the hit on AKA and whether the rapper compromised himself by sharing his whereabouts. Philani, who was also among the men who were in the Fella in Versace hitmakers hours before his passing, explained that the rapper was excited about trying a new restaurant in Durban and getting a haircut. Philani said AKA wanted to promote the places they were exploring by posting them on his social media. That brings us to the conclusion of the first edition in this hour of Moments and Current Affairs. Do stick around, more to come soon.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.